I'm gonna call him back in a second. Damn. Footage.
Hey, Richmond Group, let's try to maybe close.
Hill.
AP Hill, next stop.
Hey, did you know 9/11 was an inside job?
Did you know 9/11 was an inside job? No, you're kidding. Orchestrated by Israel.
Mass destruction.
Conversion all fluid quarters into cash and by gas. How about that? This guy here has the money. Get him. When the government can give you everything you want, they can right now.
I like that because it's campaign for liberty. That's the main thing.
We're taking requests.
Steven, we're gonna get in a line. A sign.
Down with the Fed! 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 Hold them accountable! Hold them accountable! Hold them accountable!
Hold them accountable.
ID, not for me! Real 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 ID, not for me!
Alles the IRS, that's what's up.
Freedom for all! War is a sacred document. We all are standing here fighting.
Constitution! Legalize the Constitution! Ron Paul!
Revolution!
Legalize the Constitution!
Ron Paul Revolution!
Legalize the Constitution!
Ron Paul Revolution!
Legalize the Constitution!
Ron Paul Revolution!
Legalize the Constitution!
Ron Paul!
Everybody slow down. We're going too fast. We got time. Let them know.
Push it on me. Real ID. Don't push it on me.
Real ID. Don't push it on me.
Real ID.
Don't push it on me.
Real ID.
Don't push it on me.
Real ID.
Don't push it on me.
Real ID.
Don't push it on me!
Real ID.
Don't push it on me!
Yeah.
I had no idea what happened to the clothes I was wearing that night. They disappeared that night when I was off.
Damn.
It's like really nice pants I had on too. I was kind of pissed about it.
Who are you talking about now? Oh,
Come on guys, keep moving please!
Help me, God.
Your Federal Reserve notes will be worth nothing.
Revolution begins with love. Join our cause, march.
No NAU! No NAU! No NAU! No NAU!
Want me to spell it out?
The dead!
Give me freedom or give me death. Give me freedom or give me death. Give me freedom or give me death. Give me freedom or give me death.
Let's bring that! Yeah, down with the queen! Show Jackson, go! Second Amendment!
I'm out of juice. Damn, juice. Oh, man. Damn, I gotta keep, she's just so hot. I'm sorry to whoever sees this video. It's really embarrassing to me, but she's so hot. Oh my god. Oh. Huh? No.
You're good, you're good. So, you know, what's those? I mean,
Our Rams not do it. This is on our media. You guys heard me? Or Gene? You're gonna be right here, right? Yeah, eventually. Right around here. Look for your shirt. That's the easiest way.
Just let me get footage of it, please.
Israel Anderson's been doing the Freedom Tour away. And I want to introduce Israel because he can do a lot better introduction of Mark Sibilia for you. He's going to entertain you for a while before we get going. Thanks for coming! Israel! Thank you! Are we happy to be here today? Are we going to change this nation or what? I didn't hear you! Are we going to change this nation? Yes or no? We have been touring this country, stirring spirits all over the place from the East Coast to the West Coast. Mark Sibilia has played Hope Anthem. You've all heard it. We're going to hear it again right now, and we're going to be back this afternoon, so stick around. But one thing is clear, we are changed.
Take my hand, we'll get out of this place. I woke up in today, let's get away. Oh, forget your things, baby, let's head to the shore. If you got nothing, you're never gonna need anymore. Hold your brick of lead. Some men are gonna get to heaven, others are gonna get rich instead. Can we leave right now? 'Cause eventually this life, yeah, you know this life, it's gonna turn us gray. And today seems the perfect day. once so proudly we hailed, and the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streamed, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Because I have been waiting for one for quite some time. All right! I'm Gary French. I'm the National Director for Aaron Russo's RestoreTheRepublic.com. I'm also the editor of Republic Magazine. Welcome. Nice to see you. My name is Louis Hancock. I'm creator of the Revolution logo and publisher of FreedomsPhoenix.com. And we want to tell you a little bit about them. They, those, you know, and there are those of us that just media commentators and the press. It may be because I am neither a Republican nor a Democrat, nor represented by lobbyists for the disabled, senior citizens, minorities, trade unions, nor any other lobby. In fact, I am not a member of any group whatsoever. I am the individual. Our Constitution was written to protect me from the majority. I am the victim of democracy, which has overwhelmed the safeguards of the old republic and replaced the republic with mob rule. I am raising my voice now, while I am still able to raise it, if for no other reason than to let posterity know that I was still here when the ruins of our republic are examined. I have lived my life in a country that proclaims itself to the world to be the land of the free, but have watched my freedoms erode. The most basic right I had, ownership of the fruits of my labor, has been taken from me. Now, politicians argue over what portion of my labor will purchase medical care for the poor and elderly, what portion will pay Social Security, what portion will educate other people's children, and what paltry sum I will be allowed to keep so that I may go out tomorrow and work another day. I once lived in a country which recognized my right to do as I pleased, as long as I did not violate the rights of others. Now, mountains of laws and regulations have been passed in a perverse effort to prevent me from even having the opportunity to commit a crime. As a result, I am rendered paralyzed, as there is almost no action that I can take beyond rising from my bed that cannot be construed by someone to be a crime or a violation. More of my property is seized to support grand adventures in foreign lands where my government spreads freedom through the crosshairs of its guns. My government's invasion of countries that pose no military threat to us whatsoever has made me hated throughout the world merely for being an American, and has helped enslave my children to unserviceable debts. Most ominously,
Even the legal protections of my person have been revoked in the name of protecting my fellow citizens against terrorism. While the Constitution guarantees me sound money, as only gold and silver shall be legal tender, I am nevertheless forced to use the worthless paper notes of a private banking cartel that decreases their value daily, providing me no safe store of value to save for my future. To aid financial speculators who produce nothing whatsoever, the volume of these notes is increased out of all reason whenever these gamblers and thieves stand to suffer a loss. As a result, the purchasing power of this slave currency is constantly decreased, widening the gap between rich and poor and destroying the middle class. I am left with no practical means to participate in free trade and civil society. I give my fellow citizens the benefit of the doubt and believe that they have merely forgotten what the true nature and purpose of government is. I remind that government is nothing more than the collective use of force, and that the use of force is never justified except in defense. It is by definition a last resort. Government has almost limitless power, but very few rights. It has no right to do anything beyond protecting my life and my freedom. Government has no right to provide for the needy with monies extorted at gunpoint from its citizens. I will gladly work with my fellow citizens to help those in need once I have a choice. In the meantime, I demand that my labor cease to be taken from me without my consent. Government has no right to bring freedom to the oppressed by initiating force. I remind my fellow citizens that all of the tyrants of history justified their conquests under the false guise of liberation. I will gladly stand with my countrymen to fight any foreign power that truly threatens us, but I demand that my government immediately cease to invade foreign countries in my name. Government has no right to manage the economy. Trade is only truly trade when it is free, the result of exchanges between people by mutual, voluntary consent. There is no role for government in this whatsoever. I demand that my right to trade freely with my fellow citizens and citizens abroad be respected and no longer subject to inspection or interference. Government has no right to prevent crime. It may only punish activities that are truly criminal, and those are relatively few compared to the ocean of laws and regulations that have been passed. I demand that any law prohibiting an act that does not directly harm another person be repealed, along with any law that prohibits unpopular thoughts or speech. Neither the threat of terrorism, poverty, natural disaster, nor epidemic justifies the surrender of 1 ounce of liberty. Finally, government has no right to rob me of my property by forcing me to use paper currency whose value is subject to its whim. I demand that gold and silver no longer be taxed as capital gain if it rises in price.
Sounds like a good party tonight. How much are they?
While I owe my fellow citizens nothing,
I kept whittling here, condensing there, and compressing there. And finally, I got the whole topic down to 14 words. Yeah. You ready? Okay, here it is. The Federal Reserve is the biggest scam in history, and you are its victim. Well, that's it. I'm done. But, you know, in case somebody just wandered here freshly loose from the Matrix, or if they came here out of the Twilight Zone into the reality zone, maybe they might have some questions about that. So I thought they probably would have 3 questions that I'm going to answer. The first is, what is the Federal Reserve System? The second is, what do I mean when I say it's a scam? And the third is, exactly how are you its victim? So that's what I'm going to talk about very briefly here. Okay, the Federal Reserve System, what is it? Easy answer. It's not a government agency, it's a cartel. It's no different than a sugar cartel or an oil cartel or a banana cartel. This happens to be a banking cartel, which means that it's made up of the big, giant banking corporations, and they've joined together for the sole purpose of promoting their own industry. And they've done so trying to set in rules and regulations for all the cartel members to follow so they won't compete with each other, so they can plunder the marketplace. That's what cartels always do. But now they have a particular problem, which is similar to all cartels have a similar problem, and that is, how do you enforce the cartel agreement? How do you make sure that the members don't break away and break the agreement and start being competitive, for example? Well, that's pretty hard to do unless you have the government on your side. And so all cartels, I don't care which ones they are, seek to bring government into their organization as a partner. And that's exactly what the banking cartel did. They brought the government in as a partner. What they literally did is they convinced members of Congress and the Senate to take their cartel agreement and pass it into law. That's all the Federal Reserve Act is a cartel agreement passed into law so that nobody can escape from it. If you try and violate the cartel agreement, you go to jail. That's what the Federal Reserve System is. And so what do they do with this unusual power? Well, they've been given the monopoly power to create money. Your money, the nation's money, is created by private banks. Not the government, not by you. You don't take gold into the mint and say, here's my gold, give me a gold coin. That's how money used to be created. No, you go to the banks or anywhere you want to go and you get paper money that's created by the banks. By the banks, not by the government. It says United States of America on it, but it's not created by America. It's created by the banks, by the cartel. So what would you do if you had the power, the monopoly power to create the nation's money? Wow, what a thought, huh? You know what you would do? You would create lots of it, and lots more of it, and as much of it as you can. And you would benefit from that, and that's what the Federal Reserve System does. They have no limit as to how much money they can create. They create it literally out of nothing. Now that leads to the second question, what is a scam? Well, a scam, according to the dictionary, is any kind of a trick or plot or scheme which uses deception generally as a means to extract money out of the victim in such a way that the victim doesn't know about it or actually is happy to participate in it. In other words, selling a couple of shares in the Brooklyn Bridge, for example, would be a scam. People say, oh boy, that's a good investment, here's my money. And they're tricked out of it. Well, that's basically what happens because, you see, when the federal government comes to you and it says, we're going to change the interest rate. Well, I shouldn't say the federal government. When Chairman Bernanke or somebody from the Federal Reserve comes and he testifies before Congress and he says, you know, we're going to raise the interest rates today, or we're going to lower the interest rates today. And why does he say he's doing that? Well, it's for you folks. It's for you folks. We're going to cool down the economy, or we're going to stimulate employment, or we're going to do something that's good for the economy, something good for the American people, something good for you folks. You know, he would never speak the truth, which is we're going to do it because it's in the best interest of the banks. You know, that would go over too well with voting populace. So that's where the scam comes in. And how does that make you a victim? Well, a couple of your speakers this morning have already mentioned it. It's called inflation. Prices are not going up, folks. It's the value of the dollar going down. The value of the dollar is going down. Interesting fact, if you had 25 cents back when I was a boy, 25 cents or 3 dimes in your pocket, which were backed 90% by silver, you could buy a gallon of gasoline with it. It cost $0.25 a gallon. I remember that. Today, if you've got 3 dimes or a quarter backed with 90% silver in them, you melt down the silver, you sell the silver, get Federal Reserve notes, you can still buy 1 gallon of gasoline with it. Well, you see, prices really haven't gone up. Gas hasn't gone up. Housing hasn't gone up. Groceries have not gone up. The fact is that the value of the dollar is going down, and that's a result of the Federal Reserve System. That's a result of the scam, and you are the victim because that means you're losing your purchasing power. Every dollar that you earn, every dollar that you invest, every dollar that you put in some kind of a monetary or dollar-denominated investment, whether it be a savings account or an insurance policy or a retirement fund, anything that's based on dollars, every day that passes, a little bit of that value is chiseled away, chiseled away. It's like going into the casino. You know that when you put that quarter or that dollar into the slot machine, you may win now and then, but overall, a certain percentage of every amount of your bet is taken by the house. A certain percent every time you pull the handle, every time you make an investment or a financial transaction in America today, this giant Federal Reserve casino, they take a little percentage of your money. And the longer you stay in that game, the more they take from you. So that at the point, at the end of your productive lifetime, after say 40, 50, 60 years of earning your money, they have taken about 98% of it. And you don't even know it, or many people don't even know. They think it's inflation. They think the money just went up to heaven someplace. No, it didn't go up to heaven. It went to the federal government and to the banks that are partners in the Federal Reserve System. So that's how you are the victim. They're stealing money from you. Okay, my 10 minutes are about up. Now, I'll end as I began. The Federal Reserve System is the greatest scam in history, and you are the victim. But now, what are we going to do about it? Yes. I'm going to take this whole topic and condense it down even further to just 4 words. Abolish the Federal Reserve.
Is that he is so right. He's so right. I'm now realizing more and more. Democrat, Republican, environmentalist, militarist, gay, straight, black, white. The Constitution is more important than any of it. We're going to have problems bigger than terrorism. And absolutely, it is true. I'm realizing this belatedly, that it is a divide and conquer strategy. That if we can form coalitions, we don't have to agree on everything. I mean, there are policy outcomes that you guys believe in that I might not. But if we believe together in the Constitution of the United States and the Bill of Rights and the vision that our founders meant us to have, then together we are stronger in coalition than the forces that are trying to subvert and take over this country. So now let me tell you what we need to recognize in order to stand up and save this nation effectively. Can all of you hear me out there in the back? One guy. All right. Okay. So first is a psychological shift, all right? I realize now that we've been being trained, not just over the last 8 years, but over the last 30 years, to have lower and lower expectations of what we are supposed to do as citizen leaders of this country, right? Less and less room to assemble, less and less room to protest, less and less room to confront our representatives, right? And demand accountability, right? We're being told your only role is to show up and vote. And even then your vote might not get counted. And we're being acculturated. I tried to figure out how a normal citizen could run for office. I went to college. I almost got a graduate degree. My grandma's still waiting. But I can't understand the language it's written in. There are gatekeepers trying to keep us out. They're waiting for us to give up. They're waiting for us to think it's too hard. It's too complicated. Citizens are not supposed to be doing this. And we have to show them that they are wrong. psychology that we are supposed to be passive. We're supposed to get our debates from Fox News and CNN instead of leading the debates. We are supposed to leave it to constitutional scholars to understand the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and decide when it's been violated. And we are supposed to lead it to our representatives to lead the nation. Now listen to me. The biggest thing our founders left us is not the system of checks and balances, brilliant and beautiful as it is. It's not the Declaration of Independence. It's not the Bill of Rights or the Constitution. The most important thing our founders left us is a psychology of liberty in which ordinary people lead this country. All right. So what the founders asked us to do is, in times of crisis especially, they didn't want us to think it's up to the constitutional scholars to worry about the Constitution. It's up to the pundits to have the debates. It's up to our representatives to lead the nation. They wanted us to lead. They wanted us to step up. They wanted us to preserve liberty. Is that right? Yeah! All right. So that's why, even though I've never hung out with you guys before, I hope to have many beers with you after this is over, because I know I'm among friends. Now, before we can celebrate, this is what we need to be aware of. I did write an essay that turned into a book that's now become part of this collective movement, an organization called the American Freedom Campaign that's worked with Raymond and with you guys. And what the essay and the book and the message said is this. This is scary. There are time-tested ways that would-be dictators close down a democracy or crush an open society. And we're seeing each of these 10 put in place right now. So I'm going to quickly go through them. Number one, and by the way, it always works. You saw this in Italy with Mussolini crushing a fragile parliamentary democracy. He innovated the 10 steps. You saw it in Germany when the National Socialists took over legally a parliamentary democracy. It wasn't a coup. They did it systemically, step by step. You saw it in Stalin's Russia. Petty dictators use the same 10 steps. The 10 steps always work, and we're seeing them now. Say it again. Not this time, she says. That's right. That's right. And what? Never again. That's right. But you guys have to be emissaries. You have to wake people up, because not everybody recognizes what's happening. All right, you know that. Number one, invoke a terrifying internal and external threat, real or not real, and hype it. Has that happened? Number two, create a secret prison system or a prison system that is unaccountable to the rule of law where torture takes place. That's right, that's right. You cannot close down an open society without state torture. So why should this scare us, law-abiding American citizens? Because there is not an example of a nation that created a prison system outside the rule of law where the state uses torture that it did not sooner or later turn it against you and me. Civil society leaders, opposition leaders, people like Ron Paul, for example, journalists, people like me, activists, people like you. You cannot name an example. And the president and his lawyers, that guy, the alleged, thank you, he now says he has the right to call any of us an enemy combatant. You, me, innocent U.S. citizens, and lock us in a 10 by 12-foot cell in a Navy brig for 3 years. All right, and psychiatrists know their own citizens. Is mercenary armies, is that what the American founders wanted? Now, get the what? All right. Number 4, create a surveillance society. All right? Is that what the founders intended? My daughter is 13 years old. She's in summer camp right now. She's writing me letters. I'm not getting her letters. I'm not getting half my mail, and when my mail arrives, it's ripped wide open. I showed it to the post office and they said, that's not possible. All right? Mail tampering is happening to activists around the country. People's email is being interfered with. People's phone calls are being interfered with. Kucinich's website was jammed when he tried to move forward with impeachment. They just passed this FISA bill. It is going to be your mail, your phone calls, right? Your letters from your kids. Tomorrow, it's going to be Congress being surveilled. We have opened the gates of hell. All right, let them know.
Close the gate!
He's mad as hell. Number 5, infiltrate and harass citizens groups. Hello, State Department. Hello, CIA. I know you're here. You're taking notes. You're listening. All right, but you know what? There are more of us than there are of you. That's right. So I'm going to skip ahead. You start to target highly visible people. For instance, not give candidates like Ron Paul any mainstream media attention. Not give Kucinich any mainstream media attention for the impeachment proceedings. But you start to do more. You start to make sure people like Bill Maher, Dan Rather, visible people, people who criticize the war, lose their jobs, get smeared. Then you start to redefine criticism as espionage, threatening the New York Times with espionage prosecution for releasing stories to the American people about the swift banking surveillance of ordinary citizens. You start to call criticism treason, right? Like threatening to get Bill Keller of the New York Times prosecuted for treason. Well, the penalty for treason is execution. Just as in 1938 in Stalin's Russia, the publisher of Izvestia was prosecuted in a show trial for treason. He was found guilty. He was executed. The same themes are recurring now. The next step is you start to make it easier to declare martial law. Has anyone heard of the Defense Authorization Act of 2007? Whatever you think of, however you interpret the Second Amendment, the founders meant for us to have accountable militias because they knew how, how terrifying it was to citizens to have soldiers occupying their homes, terrifying their children. Defense Authorization Act of 2007 says that the president can send the National Guard from Alabama to Oregon against the wishes of governors of both states and create a militarized society overnight. Tell Congress about it after the fact. Did the founders intend that? No! And then the last step, and then I need to say goodbye for now, but we're going to have beers later. The last step, and this is where you guys have to take the lead. You have to take it forward. Say it again. Guns weren't for hunting, they were for tyranny. This is interesting. And you know what really has to happen in this country is real debate has to go back to the citizens. Because we are smarter together than any of these people are in the green rooms. But number 10, listen you guys, this is so important after we leave here and after this euphoria and joy dissipates and we're fighting the good fight, many of us by ourselves. Number 10 is to make it easier to subvert the rule of law and then to declare martial law, all right? So when I wrote the book, I foresaw that pretty soon people like Karl Rove would just start to say to Congress, you know what, I don't care. So what, you're Congress. Doesn't matter. That's what you saw in Italy in 1920. Parliament kept saying, but wait, we're Parliament. And Mussolini kept saying, you know what, whatever. He just waited for Parliament to understand that the time for negotiating was over. So now we're seeing executive orders, secret executive orders, that ensure a continuity of government after the president declares a national emergency, whenever he says it is. This could happen tomorrow, right? And what you see looking at societies that close is that it is usually not a coup, it is a gradual process, but a certain point gets reached at which democracy can no longer heal democracy. So yes, I am scared of the next few months, because history shows running up to an election is when there's going to be a hyped threat if someone wants to cause mischief, when there's going to be a provocation. And we have a history of this in this country and overseas. So you guys be vigilant, be wary, waken the citizens, and if there are criminals in the White House, if there are criminals running this country, breaking the law again and again, do the founders want us to let the justice system work and hold the guilty accountable? On that note, thank you, America. Let's lead this revolution. Take back this country. I honor you.
There has to be. Yeah. Of course there is. Always the three.
Here we have an omelets.
Flagpoles at the far end, there's the flagpoles right there. You've got both flags running up and down. You can go both flags up and down. Those ones at the far end, we have maybe before our class. The ones
There it is. Hello, Georgie. We're watching you. We love you, Georgie. Who are you? Who are you?
No, we're not be terrorists.
There it is. What do you mean lens cap?
Which way the Lincoln?
No. We're new here.
We're from Oregon. We have no idea.
Ron Paul! Woo! The Constitution!
Yeah, we saw it on the way in. It's pretty.
Yeah, house right here.
There's some up there, Tammy.
I'm very tired.